Welcome back to Coffee Talk with Brandy. Today I'm joined with the beautiful Joni, who I got to meet just recently because one of our friends from high school was over visiting from France. And she was an exchange student here and brought us together. And I'm so grateful because Joni has an amazing story and a purpose that she has come to share with all of us. So Joni, thank you for coming and welcome.
Thank you for having me, and just thank you, Sego from France, for introducing us. We have to give her a shout out.
Yes, yay, Sego!
Woohoo! Yes. So my name is Joni Wilkinson. I am the founder and executive director of Onespurpose. So what is Onespurpose and why does the lovely Brandy have me here? Come on now.
Exactly. Exactly. Go.
So let's spill the coffee or spill the tea?
Spill the beans.
On the table, right? Okay, anyway.
That'd be a mess.
So Onespurpose was founded about 6 years ago when I didn't know anything about anything. I just know that, excuse me, my son is right here.
Got
real life.
Little one over here.
So I was just spending time journaling with the Lord 6 years ago, and he gave me the name Onespurpose. And I was like, Onespurpose, okay, because every one person has a purpose. If we all come together and do something, we can make a difference, right? So I'm thinking, okay, this will be cute. It's a cute name. We can do blogs and t-shirts and things like that. Well, little did I know, I was going to go through an experience of a gentleman who I knew for 2 years. 2 years, okay? That's important.
Yeah.
So I met him in a Bible study. I knew him for 2 years, and he knew that I was a single mom. My daughter was 14 at the time, and he began to just hang out with us and spend time with us. He would clean out my garage, detail my car, buy my daughter clothes, buy my daughter a dog. He would do so much. He would go to doctor's appointments with us. However, he would never go in the room. I would never allow that. But he would come to support, right? And sit outside and wait. So all these things I'm telling you is important. Okay? So it's
somebody you trusted. I mean, that's...
Exactly.
Yeah, you met him at church.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So somebody they trusted.
And I... funny that you use that word, because I asked him one night, I said, hey, let's do a Bible study. What should we do a Bible study on? What does he say? Trust.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm like, oh... Okay, great. So we would have dance parties. He knew that I mentored other children. So he was always around me and other children, right? Well, thankfully, one night on the way to my house, he lives, still out there, lives in Portland, and was driving to Eugene to come over. And he calls me. He's blowing up my phone, and I answer it, and I was like, what's going on? And he was like, well, I'm being detained. And I go, what do you mean you're being detained? For what? Well, I got pulled over and they're going to detain me. And then the officer gets on the phone and says, hey, Mrs. So-and-so. So, wait, Mrs.? How come I go from I'm your friend to now I'm Mrs.? Now, mind you, I did forget a part. I had met over the phone his family who lives in Texas. His mom would always call, always check on me, pray with me, speak in tongues, and went, hey, sweetie, we're going to move you and your daughter here. So she'd be around more of her cousins in Texas. And, you love the sun. She was really selling me on, we're going to move you guys to Texas. And I'm like, okay. So he's being detained. The officer is calling me Mrs. And then his mother starts calling me, oh, honey, you better not be crying. He'll be out in no time. And I'm like, what is going on? And my daughter's like, no, Mom, something's off. I don't like it. And I was like, well, let's just get in the car and we'll just get in the car. And I literally got in the car and I'm like, Lord, and I grabbed the steering wheel. I go, Lord, I don't know what is going on, but please expose whatever I need to know. Not even kidding you. Instantly, my phone rings. Hey, sis, we heard so-and-so was around you and your daughter. Are you okay? And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm fine. Because now I'm embarrassed and I feel like, oh my gosh, what is going on? People know, but I have no idea. So I instantly, skirt, and I turn back around and I go home. And then that's when I found out that he was a level 3 sex offender, trafficking 13 to 15-year-olds in Washington, Oregon, California, and Texas. And his family is in on it.
Oh, wow.
And my daughter was 14. And like I said, between 13 and 15-year-olds. And I'm thinking, I didn't know. I'm like, what is what is trafficking? What does that even mean? Like, what that happens here? So I started doing research, and I'm like, no, that doesn't happen in Oregon. That only happens overseas, or that would never happen to me, right?
Yeah. Let's talk about that for just 1 second.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important because number one, you trusted this person because they, what's the term? If there's a term, like,
Grooming?
yes! So they groomed you, but
Yes.
for 2 years.
Exactly.
It wasn't just something that happened overnight.
No.
And I think
Yeah.
what you just said too was like, wait a minute, this doesn't happen. That to me right there tells me it like there's a disassociation where we're disconnecting
Totally.
with the reality of what's going on because that's a survival mechanism. So just kind of putting that out there because
Right.
that's a survival strategy. So go ahead.
So he knew all the angles to work. Like I said, he knew I was a single mom. He knew that I mentored kids. We would go to the mall, and he was over 7 feet tall, and so all the kids were drawn to him. And he would just engage with all these kids. And I remember now looking back, I remember him saying things to these kids, and I'm thinking, you played basketball? I didn't know that. Like just. To engage and to interact. And he would know all the latest music, all the latest apps, all the latest games. He would know everything, right?
Yeah.
And then, like I said, he went to doctor's appointments and, again, never came back in the room, but sat outside to support us, right? Well, level 3 sex offender, you're not supposed to be around kids. You're not supposed to go. And I had to call every single hospital and doctor's office and say, hey, even though they checked ID, I'm like, you know that you just let a level 3 sex offender in? Like, please change your protocol. Like, this is a real thing. And so that was an opportunity to educate them too. And in this, I'm like, wait, what? How does this happen?
Yeah.
Because yes, I trusted him, right? So I began doing research, and I just, what is sex trafficking? What is a trafficker? And I like doing research, and I'm like, okay, I didn't get the website and the social media of Onespurpose to just remain silent.
Yeah.
I did not come this close to remain silent. Like, you mess mama bear. You try the babies. Well, watch out, because we're coming. So I just started blasting on social media. What is grooming?
Yeah.
What is control? What is manipulation? What is trauma bonding? And no joke, I had women from all over the United States reaching out to me, messaging me, and I'm like, what? Their stories just absolutely heartbreaking, horrific, and it's hard to wrap your mind around it. And they asked me, said, hey, can you please share my story, but don't use my name? And I'm like, well, absolutely. And I was just like, okay, God, this is bigger than me. I don't know what I'm doing, but again, I didn't come this close to remain silent. So that's what I began doing. I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew I had to do something. So I began doing work under other organizations to learn more about, how does an organization work? What can I do? And that was amazing. Did events, did trainings, just became more educated, right? And then I'm like, okay, I have to do more.
Yeah.
It's burning in me. Like, we have to protect our children.
Can I have 3 apples?
Yes. And here's my child right here wanting another apple.
Yes. And this is just real life. And I'm grateful to be part of that.
3 apples, Mom?
Okay, in just a moment when we're done.
Yeah.
And then,
3 of them. And I have 3 of these.
and when you finish that one, you can have
Okay,
another one, okay?
that's perfect.
Okay, good, thank you. Sorry.
That's okay, don't be sorry. So, Onespurpose, yes.
So I just began like, I have to do something more. So I don't know what I'm doing. So I just got my friends together. I'm like, let's go hold signs. I don't know what else to do. I am not going to jump in and like rescue somebody, but I have to do something. So we just went out, we started holding signs. I started making shirts, and the proceeds from the shirts would go to get Christmas gifts for survivors and their children. Whatever I could do, I was going to do it, right? And again, I thought this didn't make an impact. Well, I had one survivor who is now a very dear friend of mine and the president of Onespurpose. She saw, again, on social media, so how influential is social media?
Yeah.
And all of our kids are on social media, right? Well, she saw that I was giving away a shirt and I was doing a walk. So if you share my post so many times, then you win a shirt. And she won it. And I'm like, who is this person? Like, why? She's adamant about it. And I was like, okay. Well, she ended up being late to the walk, and I'm like, okay, that's weird. Like, okay, chick, you blow up the post, and I'm grateful, but then where are you?
You're right.
And I will never forget the day she pulls up, jumps out of the car. It's me, the one who won the shirt. And I was like, yes, everybody stop, wait for her. And so we did. And I had no idea her story. I didn't know anything. She'll be back to tell you that part.
Yeah, we're bringing her on too. And we'll be bringing Joni back too.
And we just, I mean, to have a survivor believe in me, when again, I or my daughter thankfully were never trafficked, but like I said, I didn't come that close to remain silent. So I was the voice and I'm just out here doing something, right? Well, then to have a survivor who was trafficked for, again, I'm not going to share her story, for years in every state but Alaska and Hawaii, believe in me and say, hey, because I didn't want, let's be honest, I didn't want to make Onespurpose a nonprofit. Who wants to be out here talking about sex trafficking?
Yeah, well, nobody does. And this is why we need to talk about it. Because those things that we don't talk about remain in shame, which actually creates barriers for it to stop.
Yes.
We have to start talking about these hard topics that people don't want to talk about and stop turning our heads away from them.
Right.
In order to create change in our society, we have to do the hard things. And this is what Onespurpose is doing. And this is why you're here.
Yes.
Is we're standing up together against these things because in our very own Lane County, Oregon, sex trafficking is an issue. And it's something that we need to face head on.
Yes.